Please get your copies of Module 3, the lesson on paraphrasing and direct quoting. Happiness. Your QE in EAPP. Wow, polo shirt. Polo shirt galore, Miguel.
Matchy matchy with best
Matchy
friend.
matchy with a curtain. Best friend. Hi, Grisel. Oh, pink. The pinkness of their shirts. I'm not sure if Grisel has moved on from Miguel. So the lesson that we had last, by the way, before I proceed, I noticed that when I checked this has nothing to do with the rant that I placed in the group chat yesterday, or with the text messages that I sent. When I started checking your works, I noticed that there are a few who created a summary which is as long as the original passage. That kind of worried me because if I'm not mistaken, I mentioned last week that the summary is expected to be shorter, like significantly shorter. Like you can really see a difference in length between the original passage and the summary of the passage. Then to my surprise, I don't know why, but a few retained more or less the length of the original passage. There even at least there are even at least 2 or 3 who gave an answer now, like for instance, if the passage contains, in my opinion, what the students did was, in my own perspective, that's not how we do summarization. So I can't yet decide fully on how to make out with the summaries that were submitted, because in sheer length alone they're as close with each other. I'm referring to the summary created in the ST and the original passage in mere length, in sheer length. Let's now go to paraphrasing and direct quoting. Perhaps there's not much an issue on direct quotations. When we do direct quotations, we do not compromise thought, nor do we compromise the words used in the original passage, which means that we are going to retain the same set of words. But of course, there are particular citations, there are particular techniques or methods that need to be followed. If you go to the second page, those are the strict reminders when it comes to direct quotations. The first one, you copy exactly the part of the text that you want to use. Exactly. You are not to paraphrase nor interpret the text in whatever way you want. Use quotation marks. You can use a double quotation mark, if not a single quotation mark, if you had a quoted statement inside another quoted statement. You have to record the details of the original source, indicating the page number is necessary in citing sources in quoting. However, if you look at the activity, you have an activity there, di ba? Familiar with that activity? Activity page 2. Familiar?
QE.
QE. O, di ba? Why will I look for other activities if I can already find that? I know that there are no page numbers there. The number that you can find in the first column is not the page number. That's just a number of number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. So for the purpose, take note, for the record, for the purpose of this activity, just don't put a page number. But technically speaking, you are entitled to do it. I mean, you are supposed to do it. The page number will have to be enclosed in parentheses. There are techniques to do it. Like, wait, I'll try to share a Microsoft Word file. Let's try to share. I'll try to share screen something to you. Hopefully you can see this. You can see this. Okay. Have you tried doing this to your laptop? Equal sign, rand, open and close parentheses. That will yield the default paragraph your Microsoft Word contains. And then you press enter. If you do that, your Microsoft Word's default paragraph comes out. Let's assume that this is under direct quoting, direct quoting. Let's assume that we have Ivan. I'll use your name, just Ivan. Ivan Varquez is the name of the authority. The year that it was said is quite recent, so probably 2019. And then that statement was located on page 356. 356. And this is that statement that we want to quote from Ivan. Assuming that this is the statement that we want to quote from him. So what do? You can do this technique. You can do this style. According to Varquez, 2019, then you get that. But you'll put this in lowercase. Ano? It will have to be kept in uppercase. Page number. So that's the quotation. That's one technique. Or you can do it this way. Varquez 2019. Wait. 2019 stated that, sorry. And then you get this. See? This is a direct quotation. Or even if you just want to know this. So it's still going to be directly quoted. Sir, what about, sir, putting it in an end text citation? Nicole wants to join the call. You can. But the citation will now have to be different. Varquez 2019. The comments already. 2019, page 356. Okay, there. Look at this complete citation. Varquez. That's for direct quoting. However, that's something that I do not want you to do. Yes, seriously, I do not want you to do direct quotations.
In FT.
Huh? Why is it that it's in the FT or in the ST? Just for the sheer experience of it. Just for the sheer experience of it, I'm giving that. But for the purpose of academic writing, personally, I would not want you to do direct quotations. Why? For several times now, I said, one good gauge that you have really understood what you read is when you are able to put that idea into your own words. When you are able to construct the idea without distorting the idea, when you are able to construct a statement that bears the same idea without necessarily using the same set of words found from the original passage, when you are able to translate it into your own words, that's what we are after of. That's a paraphrase. I always encourage, if not require, students to paraphrase. Because that's really a good gauge that you now have understood what you read than to just simply copy and paste. Is copy pasting involved in direct quotations? Most probably. When you do research, when you make your research papers, and that you are simply copying and pasting, we can't even clearly say if you have understood what you've read there. Perhaps you just found something that mentions your variable and then you decided to pick it out and then add it to your work. But if you're to be asked of how significant that item is, we are not sure if you could really create that good association between the quoted statement, directly quoted statement, and your research. Different from when you do a paraphrase. Because if it were a paraphrase, you yourselves should have read the contents of the text, the contents of the passage, before you got to decide that that's going to be included in your work. There are items though, there are kinds of passages though that we can't paraphrase anymore. Like for instance, if your direct quotation is at least, that has something to do with, for instance, I think it's not here. Oh yeah. For instance, you have a legal documents, a legal basis, a legal documents provision or article. We can't, remember your chapter 1 theoretical background, legal basis. Did you paraphrase that part? You did not. Why? In
It's a law.
paraphrasing, it's the law, correct? Paraphrasing would demand that, again, you could put the passage into your own words, which we cannot just simply do to a legal basis, to a law. So we have to abide by the structure of that provision, and then we'll have to verbatimly use whatever is found there and not put it into our own words. In the first place, the layman population is not entitled to have its own interpretation of the law, because the law is seen to be that objective and definite. So it cannot be interpreted in whatever way people deem it to be interpreted. Thus, paraphrasing doesn't work for it. But if paraphrasing can be applied, then apply it. If there are areas by which it can be applied, then do it. When to use paraphrasing? You paraphrase a short text with 1 or 2 sentences or a paragraph with a maximum of 5 sentences. That's a suggestion. In terms of the length, there are paraphrases which are longer than the original passage. I tell you that. A paraphrase may even come out to be longer than the original text. At par in terms of the length with the original text, if not longer than the original text. And that's fine. By the way, how do we differentiate the verbs rephrase and paraphrase? I would not want you to interchangeably use these terms because there's really a difference between the two terms. Rephrase, paraphrase. How do we differentiate them? Raisa, what does it mean to rephrase? What does it mean to paraphrase? No searching in Google, ha? No searching in Google, people. Joyce turned her camera off so that she can search in Google.
Rephrase is It will have the same sense.
Same. Same.
Sense of verb. I, I
Verbs.
don't know, Stacey. Why are you asking me?
Rephrasals are done for the purpose of clarity. You rephrase because there is something that you placed in your statement that makes it unclear or ambiguous, not understandable. That is why, as given by Miguel here, you reword, you choose a better word, you provide a better term, a more understandable one. That's the goal when you rephrase. It is to achieve clarity. But to paraphrase is to put an idea into your own words. So, expect that from reading the original text, what you'll do first, what will you do first? A paraphrase or a rephrasal? You will paraphrase first. Expect for that. Because when you paraphrase, someone might just, after doing your paraphrase, someone might just tell you later on. Someone like a teacher perhaps might just tell you later on. The idea here is still unclear. There is something wrong with the structure. I'm confused with what you're writing here. So what will you do? Will you paraphrase what you created? No. You will now rephrase it. You will rephrase the paraphrase that you made. See the difference? But perhaps you heard other people interchangeably use the two terms. Even teachers, no, you've probably heard them say, you try to paraphrase that, you try to rephrase that. But if you were to ask these teachers, ma'am, sir, what do you mean when you want me to rephrase this? Di ba they'll tell you na, no, I want you to put it into your own ideas. But that's actually a paraphrasal that they are asking you to do. So that's basically paraphrasing and direct quoting. That's our lesson. Yeah. How is your ST on this one? Of course, I will not ask you to tell me, give me guidelines in paraphrasing. Hell no. I'll give you texts to paraphrase and directly quote. While there is still time, give me your answers for the last column, for this column on direct quoting. So that on Thursday, we can just focus on the paraphrasing column. Go. You answer the column for direct quoting while there's still time, and then you show me your answers or you tell me your answers. Like what I said earlier, for the purpose of this activity, just ignore the page number. But in actual practice, for direct quotations, you should include the page number in the citation. I hope everybody has a copy of the module now. And Miguel will come again later to school to get his module, as well as for Ella. Nathan, turn your camera on. Nathan, you turned it on earlier in Fundamentals of EBM 1.
Meeting, sir.
Uh-huh.
I'm eating.
You're eating. You shouldn't be eating anymore at this time.
Late me, sir.
Let's try number 1, Kreiser 2011. Role play can help children learn techniques for coping with bullying. Direct quoting. Anyone who could show me their answer? His or her answer? Don't forget the punctuation marks. Don't forget the punctuation marks.
I will type it and send it to you, sir.
No, you'll put it here in your answer and then you'll show it to me like say it's like this or all like that.
Dili sa Microsoft, sir, then i-share screen.
Or- It's all right, Lex. It's all right, Lex. You don't have to use MS Word.
Yun sir. Sir,
Okay,
same.
okay. Look at what Miguel is doing. Look at what Miguel is doing.
There's no page number provided,
Yeah.
ma'am.
For a while. Can
Oh,
you
nandito
move the
here,
camera
I
closer, Miguel?
forgot to put here.
Closer, closer, please, closer. I can't see the end punctuation mark. The last punctuation
There,
mark.
sir.
Uh-huh.
Bilang klaro. It's, where's my ball pen?
Okay.
Here. There.
Period and closing double quotation marks.
Yes.
Okay. Correct. I just want you to do it that way where you are going to show to me your answer on the paper because that will prove to me that you have really answered it at this time. And that style, that's the style of Miguel. Miguel can do that to all of the items and then he's done. But for direct quoting, I'm going to be very particular for punctuation marks. Okay, Rai. Okay, okay. I'm going to be very particular with punctuation marks. Benjamin, I think your module is yet making its way to your place, no? Or it's still going to reach your place later this afternoon?
Up to what number ang answeran, sir?
All of the 10 for the direct quoting column. You will love our last lesson for pre-fi. Because you will look at so many things. Troy? Wait, wait. Troy, don't put the opening double quotation marks there. You put the opening double quotation marks immediately before the first word of the quoted statement that's being directly of the statement that's being directly quoted. Do not put them far apart. What is that? Is that the sponge? What about the others? I hope others can, even with just one item, at least I can see that you are doing it right in one item and you can consistently do it to the rest of the items. According to Lexinet, the period will have to be placed before the closing double quotation marks. I'm particular with punctuation marks, people, as well as their placement. Yes, it's all right, Miguel. It's all right. There. In that structure, take note, Lexa, in that structure, that's how it's going to look like. Or you can go with Chrysler 2011 stated that a role play can help children learn. You can do it that way. Nicole? Nicole, you were pushed out of Zoom earlier, no, for Funda? Wait, closer, closer, please, Nicole.
Mahina yung signal kanina, sir.
Nicole, the period, Nicole. Look at the period.
Pagkatapos ng, ano, sir?
Before,
Pagkatapos ng...
before the closing double quotation mark.
before?
Yeah. In the
Okay,
structure
sir.
you're doing. Wait. Are you sure you got the correct words, Troy? Oh, that's direct quoting, Troy. Direct quoting. Exact same words. Direct quoting. So don't omit a word. You omitted one word. So when I read your work, Troy, it didn't sound like a complete one because one word was missing. Direct quoting. Direct quoting. Majoy lost her pen. So she's Majoy, just send me your answer in the chat box. Majoy, send it privately.
I sent it na, sir.
You did?
Yes po.
Okay. Okay. By the way, what is the speed of a baseball that travels 49 meters in 2.4 seconds? Oh, yeah. Nathan, I swear, I cannot see your answer. Nathan! Move it closer to the camera, Nathan. Where's your period? Nathan, where's the period?
What number, sir?
Number
One.
one.
Sir, closing quotation mark.
Yes, Majoy. Where's the period?
Before closing quotation
Before the
mark.
closing quotation, double quotation. By the way, I've been seeing, because I'm opening a different link right now, I'll put this in the chat box. I'll put this in the chat box. I have been seeing possible direct quotations that look like this. Please put your attention for a while to the chat box. You look at the letter A. For a flexible mind is a healthy mind. Look at that. There are available direct quotations where the first letter of that directly quoted statement is placed in lowercase. But what's so consistent among them is this structure. Look at this structure, people. Can you find states? Can you see states there? There is a reporting verb. That is a reporting verb. And then there's also a word that. So those who are doing, according to Palladino and Wade 2010, comma, opening double quotation marks, first letter has been set in uppercase. But in this structure that I've sent in the chat box, the first letter of the directly quoted statement can be set in lowercase. Oh, Troy, maybe you're not including a word again. Okay. But take note, that small letter A for a flexible mind is actually acceptable. That you don't have to capitalize the letter A. Benjamin, there will be a comma after 2011. So it's as stated by Chrysler 2011, comma, role play can help children learn techniques for coping with bullying. So there's going to be a comma after the closing parenthesis for 2011. Your QE has this kind of test. Your QE is composed of 4 pages. 2 papers printed on both sides. And your QE goes for more than 100 points.
Anyone can send their answers if you wish to. Lian, very good, you're correct. Charles, give me a correct unit, Charles, and then run those properly, Charles. Second decimal place, Charles. And then give me the unit because you gave me only per unit. Jeremiah is correct. So far, I'm waiting for Jesper and Johan. Kira is correct, very good. How about the others? Lance, Kenneth, Kim, Mario, Gabriel, Janessa, Erish. If you wish to participate, feel free to chat the answers if you don't feel recognized. Because I cannot call your names since your cameras are not turned on, and I'm not sure how many minutes I will wait for you to start.
O diba? Raisa is done already with half of the FT. So for Thursday, here's what's going to happen on Thursday. I'll ask each of you to give me a paraphrase of the 10 answer or statements there. But not necessarily that I'll listen to 150 answers on Thursday. So it's possible like I'll ask Raisa to do number 1, then Lex will do number 7, Troy will do number 6, Nicole will do number 2, Benjamin will do number 4, like that. So be sure to have it ready with you. If someone on Thursday says, "Sir, I'm sorry, sir, I have not made a paraphrase," bye-bye research.
Kira, give me a quick unit, Kira. Your unit is wrong. It's not supposed to be. It's not.
Whatever your style is for the first directly quoted statement, you can use that style in all of those statements, and I won't take it I won't see it to be wrong.
So that is the correct unit, Kira. First, just for, I haven't seen the answer just for only.
Troy, remove the comma after that.
Okay, just for, if you don't have the answer still, this is how we're going to do it, okay? To solve for this.
Do we have some other questions regarding this? Diba? Very easy. I assure you for the ST, I will not ask you of what is a summary? What is a paraphrase?
How about like this, sir?
Troy, what did I tell you? Do not use your headset. Don't use your headset lagi. Troy, your audio is there. Oh, your audio is better without the headset.
Like this, sir.
Again.
Open quotation, then data should be evaluated before making introduction. This is Sherlock Holmes investigates the case, then closing, then
Comma.
last now, comma, then last now.
Cited by, or as stated described by, or according to.
Okay.
Yeah. For as long as you will not really omit a word like what you did in the last item, Troy. You removed the word adopted. So please continue working on your answers. And if there are no questions, I think we can call it a day already. Continue working on, be consistent with your format. If you want to have the same format in all 10 items, that's totally fine. That's totally fine. So that'll be all. Goodbye and thank you, grade 12.
Goodbye and thank you, Sir Sim.
Goodbye and thank you, sir.
Goodbye and thank you, sir. Sim.